Welcome to 50 Years of Friends, the 50th anniversary celebration of Friends of the Public Garden. As some of you know, I've been a friend for about a decade now as the MC of Duckling Day, one of my favorite events each year.
I can't believe it's our 50th anniversary. We've accomplished so much over these 5 decades thanks to all of you. Your support and friendship has made it possible for us to revitalize and care for our treasured green spaces, the Boston Common, the Public Garden, and the Commonwealth Avenue Mall.
It's hard to imagine what this last year would have been like without these 3 parks. They've provided a respite and reprieve from COVID, and they've also provided a really important place for us to come together in peaceful protest and gatherings.
As caretakers of the nation's first public park and first public botanical garden, we know how important these green spaces are as oases for residents and visitors alike, thanks to the passion and commitment of our volunteers and friends.
Hello everyone, this is Marty Walsh. I want to congratulate the Friends of the Public Garden on your 50th anniversary. Your organization does outstanding work. You are great stewards of some of our city's most beautiful public spaces. You have been a great partner to the City of Boston. And you've helped to make the Boston Public Garden and Boston Common and Com Ave Mall even more vibrant and accessible to everyone. Our parks and gardens are very important to our community. They have lots of history, they bring people together, they bring beauty of nature into our city, and they are the pride of our neighborhoods. The Friends of the Public Garden puts their heads and hearts and souls into making our beloved parks the best they can be. Congratulations on this milestone, and here's to many more.
Tonight we honor the rich history and immeasurable impact the Friends has had on our city through some of our favorite and most important memories, milestones, and moments. But before we look ahead, let's take a look back at how it all began.
The Boston Common, the Public Garden, and the Commonwealth Avenue Mall are my favorite, most beautiful places in the city. And the city can only do so much to take care of them.
What we see in front of us is not what came before it. And to understand that that space has a lot of history, a lot of story that goes to that space. And today we get to enjoy it as a park, but a lot has happened there.
In the late 60s, it was a low point for parks nationwide, and our parks were no exception. It's hard to imagine that today, but this garden was almost beyond saving. In 1970, a group of neighbors got together out of concern for the future of this garden, and very soon after that, they added the Boston Common and the Commonwealth Avenue Mall to their areas of concern, particularly because Dutch elm disease was ravaging the elm trees.
Not long after we were established, we were challenged with our first advocacy project.
We said at the outset that we were there to protect and to preserve and to improve all the parks.
There's just no end to the things that need to be done, and so both the fundraising and then the maintenance of it are absolutely critical.
These spaces are exceptional urban parks, and that's because of the Friends of the Public Garden. It was very unique at the time, and now as you look across the country, you see conservancy models in every major American city. We're very, very fortunate to have the Friends here.
I have been enjoying these parks since I was a student at Northeastern, and I had no idea they were in such poor condition at one point. It's hard to imagine these same world-class parks that our city treasures today.
The Friends, in close partnership with the Parks Department, has increased in funding and expertise to care for these parks and to continue to be a voice for them and protecting them in so many ways. Now, the next time you're in one of our parks, go and spend a little time with one of the elm trees and realize that they are the survivors of their own pandemic, that of Dutch elm disease. And they have overcome this pandemic through strength and resilience. So hopefully with our continued cutting-edge care of them, they will be standing tall and enjoyed for generations to come.
For generations, locals and tourists alike have been flocking to the nation's first city park, known as the Boston Common, often referred to as the People's Park, and the first public botanical garden, known as the Public Garden. They come to create their own memories, but as Friends founder Henry Lee shares, for some it's about connecting with history.
My daughter was downtown. She was about 14 years old, and she saw this blind woman coming out of the hotel, and she said to her, "Can I help you?" And the woman said, "Yes, yes, you could. Will you take me to the Common?" So my daughter took her up to the Common. At that time, I'd always thought the Common was not much of a place. It was dirty and dusty and didn't know much about it one way or the other. And this woman, when she got there, got on her knees and took some of the soil of the Common and said, "I come from Texas and I've been a tired school teacher and now I'm blind. And the one thing I want is to touch where our history began, where our freedom was secured," and so forth. And my daughter came home aghast. She couldn't believe this, and I told her, yes, it's true.
There really is so much rich history in these parks and more memories to be made. But first, there are so many people to thank for caring so deeply about these parks, some who have been friends since the very beginning. Now let's take a look back at several of the milestones which the Friends has celebrated over the last 50 years, thanks to members and generous supporters.
It would be impossible to highlight all the milestones the Friends has accomplished since our founding in 1970, but there are certainly a few which we know have made these parks and our city a better place. Since 1970, the Friends has been an essential partner with the city to care for, to renew, and to advocate for our three iconic green spaces in the heart of downtown: the Boston Common, the Public Garden, and Commonwealth Avenue Mall. We were the first advocacy organization in the region and one of the first in the country to do this work.
Two of our more important milestones are the Brewer Fountain and Plaza renovation and the Shaw 54th Regiment Memorial restoration.
We've done a lot of work in the last few years around the Brewer Fountain. That fountain is the oldest fountain in the city.
Because of this partnership where the Boston Parks and Recreation Department came together with the Friends to reactivate this space, we now have a working, functioning fountain. There's food trucks every day, there's patio chairs, there's a musician that's playing. We're honored to have the Robert Gould Shaw 54th Regiment Memorial here on Boston Common.
From the beginning, in 1981, it was our first fundraising effort. We raised $200,000 to restore this monument and endow its care.
We are currently working on a new restoration project with our partners. We completely removed the monument from the plaza level up, took it to a conservation studio, and rebuilt the foundation.
It's a great partnership with the Friends of the Public Garden, the Museum of African American History, the National Park Service, and the City of Boston to restore this so it's here for many years to come.
We also saw this as an opportunity to expand the conversation, so bringing the Museum of African American History into that conversation and using this work as a platform for dialogue about race, justice, and equality. This year, we have deepened our partnership with the city with a formal agreement that strengthens our shared goal of excellence. Among all of these incredible milestones, perhaps the most important is the work we do in the parks day in and day out.
We've restored a number of sculptures, fountains, we've gotten the water to be running. Our most recent project was the restoration of the White Fountain, or the Angel.
The most beloved element in this garden, and maybe in the city and possibly in the country, is the duckling sculpture. They were created by sculptor Nancy Shuren in 1987. The Friends helped Nancy to get these ducklings in the garden.
The Friends now does all the sculpture care in all 3 parks, which is a lot of art. Everybody gets washed and waxed, so they'll be around in good shape forever, hopefully.
We recently undertook a significant renovation of our irrigation system to create a smart water system that not only helps the life of our trees and turf, but also saves a significant amount of water.
It's expensive to do this work. The Friends spends over $2 million a year in the 3 parks. And people don't really know that because they see the results, but they don't see what goes into getting those results.
What you have to maintain a park is consistent funding. The grass grows again. Trees need pruning again. It isn't something that you can fix up. It's something you have to maintain.
As we embark on our next 50 years of parks care, the need for support and advocacy from all those who love these parks is more important than ever.
We just saw the significant impact the Friends has made through the park improvements. But Liz, I know community programs have been milestones too.
Very important goal of ours is to make our parks feel inclusive and welcoming for all. We are doing that in several ways. One is down at Brewer Plaza with our programming, free papers, magazines, music at lunchtime, a wonderful place to come and enjoy yourself. Another is one of our free public programs, Making History on the Common, where we invite 1,000 Boston school children from most of Boston's neighborhoods to come and learn about the history of this special place. And we're working hard to find other organizations to partner with to bring multicultural offerings to the Common. And one really significant milestone is the evolution of the Friends from a volunteer organization to one with a professional staff of 10. We have 3,000 members from 142 communities in Massachusetts, 32 states, and the District of Columbia.
Leslie, with so many deserving projects, how do all of you pick a focus? The possibilities must be endless.
A great example is the White Fountain, which was recently restored at the corner of Arlington and Beacon Streets. It had stopped functioning in the 1980s, and in 2015, one of our neighbors approached us and asked us why we couldn't get it going again. We engaged him. He became a member of our board. We raised $700,000, not only for the restoration work, but for the ongoing endowment for its care. And this is why we really can't do this important work without the support of all of our friends.
Partnerships are so essential, and we are working with our partners, the Parks Department, almost completing a master plan for the Boston Common, the center stage of our civic life, a place where 7 million people a year come to relax, to play, to protest, to celebrate. We're enhancing the destinations, creating a system of signage so it's easy to find those places and understand more about the history of the Common, and making sure it's cared for at the highest level and that we balance use and care, which is so essential.
Because of Friends, we can probably all think back to one of our favorite or most memorable moments in these parks, some big, some small, some profound. Moments which bring people together, or moments in which people come to be one with nature. Moments to celebrate joyous occasions, or moments to remember. Some moments occur daily, while others are once in a lifetime. Any way you look at it, these parks hold a special place in our hearts on both ordinary and extraordinary days. Let's take a look.
We end up in the common and in the public garden every day. It's where my daughter took her first steps.
At least twice a day, you can see me walking through the Commonwealth Avenue Mall.
For so many people, they don't have a garden, and it's a place to go out and just sit and smell the grass when they're cutting the lawn, see the birds. It's just a welcome relief in a big city.
The public garden and the common are these public treasures that I grew up loving, grew up playing hide and go seek under the umbrella trees.
I've always loved running through the public garden in the spring when the tulips are out, so it's kind of a rebirth from the long New England winters when the tulips come up and the swan boats come out.
The Frog Pond is just a gem in the middle of this very historic old park.
But walking through the park all the time, I get to see weddings, I see proposals, we see quinceañeras, we see prom pictures. It's a beautiful, iconic place, and it's really exciting that people want to be here to capture these special moments. And you know, there's happy moments and there's reflective moments.
We've had Coretta Scott King with Martin Luther King speaking right from their pulpit right on Parkman Bandstand. Pope John Paul II has come given Mass in the park as well.
One of the first peaceful protests I attended was anti-war in Vietnam. I'm not a Native American, and that's where I feel that I'm part of America.
When it's a great snow day and there's been a lot of snow, I've taken my daughter with our toboggan to slide down that great hill in the Boston Common. And I like the Frog Pond too.
I come here, it's so good for my soul, and I so appreciate the design, the greenery, being around other people who are also enjoying it. It's a treasure.
We're here on vacation. We went to Maine and then we're driving back through Boston. We're just here to visit this park.
It's historic and it's so clean.
We were trapped inside for like so long. Having this space definitely reconnects us with like nature, and it just boosts our spirit, you know?
I love the colors right now, especially with the changing seasons. It's beautiful to see the world is moving on. It's a good, hopeful reminder of things getting better.
I'm a student at Emerson College, so I'm like right down the street, and I come into the park like every day, even if it's horrible weather. This is my therapy.
It's more than a place we walk through on our way to work. It's really the civic hub of the city. We have rallies and political protests there. We have Christmas tree lightings and fireworks. And some of us just sit quietly on a bench and eat our lunch. But it's a really magical place that we have to continue to keep up over the years.
I just wanted to say thank you for what you've done to help and enhance public green areas. Without green spaces, Boston would be a dull and gloomy city with unhappy residents.
Thank you for all the work you do around the park. I love the Boston Common. I feel like the park calms me.
Dear friends of the public garden, thank you for taking care of the public garden. Without you, we probably wouldn't have a public garden. I use the public garden a lot in many different ways. I like to use it to relax, see flowers, and go on swan boats.
I have to share actually two of my favorite moments. One is every time the magician takes the stage, and he's been doing it in front of me year after year, the kids just, their eyes twinkle. And I've heard the jokes, I've seen the gags for a decade now. It's all still so fun. And the other special thing is how I've kind of seen my daughter grow up in these parks, and most recently kind of helping out with the social media. And we can't forget the bad weather days where it's pouring on us and we're all in our yellow duckling outfits. And it's just so much joy. Even in the rain, we share in these parks. Love it.
I have a lot of very happy memories in the parks, but I think the one that's closest to my heart would be swan boat rides. From the time I was very young through to adulthood with my mother and grandmother, and now with my own family. As a matter of fact, on the day that I married, my mother gave me a very special gift. On the morning of my wedding, I opened a package, and inside were 2 antique handkerchiefs. lovely ones. One was embroidered with a little A in blue, which was going to be my new initial. And even more specially inside was a hand-embroidered handkerchief, which I carry a lot, of the swan boats. So when I was asked to become the board chair, I opened my drawer, and this was in my dresser, and I knew that this was the right job for me.
When I think about it, my favorite moment is the day in the spring of 2011 when we celebrated the restoration of Brewer Fountain. After that festivity was over, I was about to head home, and then I decided just to turn and go back to the fountain just to have one last look as the sun was setting. So as I approached the fountain, I noticed that on a normal day there would be nobody except the unhoused sitting there. Today, all the benches were full, and everyone was quiet and just drinking in the beauty of the fountain working again. And I realized that's why we do what we do. It was such a moving moment for me. But the work is not done yet, and there is so much more to do to make sure these parks are in the best condition for everybody for the years to come. And we are very excited to announce that to celebrate our 50th anniversary, there are 3 transformative projects that we are pursuing in these 3 parks. In the public garden, we are restoring the major entrance into the garden at Arlington Street, restoring those 2 child fountains by George Washington, and revitalizing the landscape at the entrance. If you turn around and walk across Arlington Street, we are lighting every one of the statues down the Commonwealth Avenue Mall, from Alexander Hamilton there at Arlington Street to Leif Erikson, and enhancing the landscape around them. And on the Boston Common, because we are doing the master plan and we don't have a capital project we want to do right now, we are bringing a very exciting and dynamic temporary art installation called What Do We Have in Common? It'll be interactive, and it's meant to instill in people a sense that this does belong to all of us, and what does it take to care for our common resources? Please go to our website to learn more about our campaign and how you can be part of it.